let's play a little contender versus pretender with teams in the NFL still in the playoff hunt. Now, here's how we want to frame this, Josh. Let's do, because not all of these teams are obviously going to be Super Bowl contenders per se,
Sure.
but are they teams that can go to the playoffs and maybe make a run, right? So that's going to be our form of this. Let's talk about, let's see. The first team I want to bring up is, let's start with this one. How about the Houston Texans? They're 7-5. They are the first team right now outside of the AFC playoff picture. What do you think? Contender or pretender, Josh, the Houston Texans?
I think the Houston Texans are a contender.
Really?
And I know I think it was my first appearance on the Carving It Up podcast with our buddy Bryson, where I said that early in the season that Houston was one of, if not the biggest disappointment in the NFL.
Yeah.
And they have clearly turned it around. They got the top defense in the NFL.
Yeah.
CJ Stroud is pulling it together. I mean, he does not need to be an elite quarterback to lead the team. They've won 4 in a row. And when you look at their remaining schedule, it overall looks pretty favorable for them. I think Houston ends up being, a 10-win team and finds their way in.
Yeah, they absolutely could. They're at the Chiefs. They have back-to-back home games against the Cardinals and the Raiders, which are 2 very, very winnable games.
Yeah.
And then they go on the road to the Chargers, and then they close the season at home against the Colts, which that game between the Texans and the Colts to close the season could decide the division. Like, that could very easily be a situation where that
absolutely
comes into place. Let's talk about the Colts. Let's talk about the Colts next. Indianapolis Colts, contender or pretender, Josh?
3 to 4 weeks ago, we were talking about that they were the best team in the NFL.
In the NFL. Then they traded for
the playoffs entirely. The Colts are pretenders. And
wow.
it's just because of, bad timing. Daniel Jones is hurt. Obviously that is taking an effect on them. That loss to the Chiefs just tore them apart mentally.
Yeah. Took the win.
And then, we talked about Houston's schedule. Well, now you look at Indy's remaining schedule. Jacksonville, Seattle, San Francisco, Jacksonville, Houston.
Yeah.
All 5 games against teams over 500. The Colts are falling, and they're falling fast. And now, when we broke the news of the Sauce Gardner trade, we were just like, oh my God, the Colts are in this for real. He gets hurt. Now they start falling apart a little bit. And all of a sudden, these picks that the Jets got in that trade get better and better.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah, I think, and I don't know if you were going to bring up, Jacksonville in this game as well, but with that division, I am now convinced the Colts are going to be the odd team out.
Wow, you're convinced?
I'm convinced based on how they're suddenly playing. They're stopping Jonathan Taylor now because Daniel Jones is beat up and hurt. And this schedule to end the season is absolutely brutal.
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of thought that there was going to be a time where the Colts came back down to earth. And who would have thought that it was after the bye week that they had where everything just sort of shifted. I want to shift to the team that kind of, I'll say, catalyzed their sort of recent disappointment over the last couple of weeks. The Kansas City Chiefs. Now, listen, Josh, we said it last week, right? And you said it this past week, saying whoever lost the Chiefs-Cowboy game on Thanksgiving, their season ended that night. The Chiefs were the loser of that game. Contender or pretender for the Kansas City Chiefs?
I'm sticking with it. They're absolutely a pretender because, with the Chargers and Broncos both winning as well, that just puts them further in the cellar. And it's interesting because this is one of Mahomes' better seasons, stats wise. He's
Yeah.
been fantastic.
Yep.
The question is everybody else. And with them again, because again, when we got to be looking at everyone's schedules. They play Houston Sunday night. They have Denver on a Thursday off a short week, and they do have the Chargers again as well. In those games, maybe they pull off one win out of those three,
Right.
and then Titans and Raiders, they'll beat them. But 9 wins will not make the playoffs in the AFC.
Yeah.
So the Chiefs' run, at least the streak of their run, is officially over.
Yeah, I agree. The Chiefs just simply look different. Like they just aren't as explosive as they used to be. Patrick Mahomes looks human. He's actually making in-game mistakes. They're getting older, it feels like. I'm with you. I think the Chiefs are a pretender here this year. There are just better teams in the AFC. This is where they are. The Chiefs are a middle of the road sort of team. Now, I want to close the AFC side of this with two teams. This is sort of two-pronged now. I want to talk about the Ravens and the Steelers kind of together here.
Okay.
Ravens right now have the tiebreaker in the division, right? They're 6-6. Steelers are 6-6. The Steelers just took a loss to the Bills. So that kind of dropped them back. Contender or pretender, Josh, for the Baltimore Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Neither.
Okay.
The Cincinnati Bengals are somehow going to win that division.
Joey
and
B's back.
it makes no sense. But all of a sudden, Pittsburgh is getting beat up and hurt and have become a shell of themselves. Baltimore has forgotten how to play offense somehow with the two of the arguably best playmakers in the NFL. And then all of a sudden the Bengals have a healthy Joe Burrow. You still got Jamar Chase. T. Higgins will be back. And the Bengals, while they are at Buffalo next week, the rest of their season, Baltimore, Miami, Arizona, Cleveland. And this is almost every year we feel like there's a division where a team is at best 9-8 and gets a home field advantage game in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And it might happen with Cincinnati with a record of 8-9. The way it's going, because again, Pittsburgh and Baltimore, while they're both ahead, they are falling fast.
Yeah.
Both of them. I mean, yeah, the consensus is Baltimore will more than likely win the division. But, I mean, I'd be licking my chops if I get a chance to play a real in Baltimore in the playoffs. Because Cincinnati, I mean, you saw how they looked on Thanksgiving. Well, we were, it wasn't the tryptophan that was blinding us. It was a combination of, hey, Joe Burrow makes that huge of a difference on this team to all of a sudden make it seem like, oh no, we don't need to fire Zach Taylor.
Yeah. Yeah. Listen, the thing that hurts the Bengals, obviously, is they have the worst defense in the NFL. Like, without question.
That's not the best thing to have. You're right.
No, you're right. It's also a lot of ground to make up. Now, the Bengals, if you look at their schedule, could run the table, right? They're at Buffalo this coming week. But once they get past that, you're right? You're home against the Ravens, you're at Miami, then you're home for 2 straight against the Cardinals and the Browns. Like, those are very winnable football games. Very, very winnable football games, especially with Joe Burrow healthy. If I were to say, if I were to be safe about this, I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are probably the safest bet to win the division, right? I just think they have the least amount of issues right now. Now, that doesn't mean I think they're particularly good, but I don't have faith in Baltimore at all right now. Literally at all.
I don't know if you heard this stat. Dan Orlovsky tweeted this out last night after the Monday Night Football game about the Steelers, where the Steelers lead the league in most snaps where their defense has been on the field, and also lead the league in least amount of snaps their offense has been on the field.
Yeah.
And the difference is roughly like 2.5 games worth.
Wow.
It's an astronomical difference between the offense and defense. So it's just like the defenses will naturally be getting more and more tired. And again, the offense, we already touched on how they're beat up. Who's going to be their quarterback? Aaron Rodgers has a different injury every week.
Yeah.
And so, and looking at their schedule, you know, they get the Ravens twice, where obviously they're both playing for the same thing. You got the Lions in the mix of that. They'll be at Detroit where they're playing for their playoff lives, which I'm sure they're going to be an NFC topic that you're going to bring up.
Yep.
And so I mean, they're the safe pick because of their track record of always being over 500.
Right. But that might be all it takes.
It's true.
You know what I mean? Like in that division, that might be all it takes. Like, and listen, the Bengals are an interesting conversation just because, like, they're 4-8 right now.
Yeah.
If they run the table, they're 9-8, and that could be enough. But I don't know.
Can we give Joe Burrow MVP for playing just 8 games in the season if he was able to run the table and bring him to win the division?
Well, listen, that ties back to whether or not you think MVP actually means MVP, right? So, all right, so let's move to the NFC side of this. We just brought it up, right? The Detroit Lions, contender or pretender right now, being third in their division behind the Packers and the Bears. What do you think?
They're sadly pretenders at this point. And part of it, you know, they're beat up. Their offensive line is hurt. Their top receiver is hurt. Their secondary is hurt. And their next 2 games are against the 2 best offenses in the NFC, and the Cowboys and Rams. So, and they finished their season at Chicago, where that's a whole nother topic to just discuss, with the number 1 seed in the NFC, Chicago Bears. That was on no one's bingo card in 2025.
Yeah.
And so at this point, the Lions are sellers. They've fallen off. They just can't compete with this division this year.
Yeah. I think I agree, and it's crazy to say that because, like, I think the Lions could probably go down as the best team in the league that doesn't make the playoffs. Like they are.
Oh, sure.
They are like, I still think the Lions are such a good football team. I really do. But their injuries have just caught them at the wrong time. I mean, you heard the report that came out after the Thanksgiving game. Amon-Ra St. Brown might be out for 3 weeks. Like, that's such a bad injury for them to suffer. And they don't have the depth at wide receiver to withstand that, right? Like, Jameson Williams is a solid wide receiver. Outside of that, you're looking at what? Isaac Tesla and
right, because Sam Laporta has also been out.
Right, exactly. So, like, how many weapons now do you have on offense outside of Gibbs? Like that might be a real issue for the Lions. I think it's unfortunate that way too. But I agree. I think they're pretenders as well. Listen, you knew it was coming. You knew it was coming, Josh.
What might be coming? What are you?
You knew it was coming.
What are you questioning?
Huh? The Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, I've heard of them.
Contenders or pretenders, winning 2 straight against the Eagles and the Chiefs. Now going to Detroit and playing the Lions, 6-5-1. Are the Cowboys contenders or pretenders?
So, our Cowboy Cowboy podcasts that we have on the GRYD network, because I know we have multiple of them, and all are great. They should be mailing me gift baskets.
It should.
Because I was on this show
for no other reason than just because.
Well, just because. However, I was on this very show where I said, hey, the Cowboys need to win 6 out of their last 7 games to make the playoffs. And since I said that, they've won 3 in a row.
Yeah.
And obviously they're in must-win mode every week. But now, playing the Lions on a short week when they're all beat up and Cowboys are firing on all cylinders, and then you got the Vikings, Chargers, Commanders, and Giants. That's at least 4 out of 5. That's potential of sneaking in that last playoff spot. It's going to be very difficult, though, because you are still dealing with whoever does not win between the Packers and Bears. And then you also got the Seahawks. Well, whoever doesn't win between the Rams, Seahawks, and 49ers.
Right.
Because realistically, all those teams I just listed are still overall better teams than the Cowboys. But no one wants to play the Cowboys right now, the way they're playing. So Schottenheimer has got them playing their best ball at the best possible time. They're so close on the edge of contender pretender of trying to sneak in that spot. They
might be the team that's closest to the line.
Yeah, I really think they are, because pending any more 49er injuries, because we know they've already had plenty. I just can't see the Cowboys overtaking one of those teams if everyone stays healthy right now. Listen, so I guess technically that means they are pretender, but just barely pretender.
So here's what I'll say. I think the Cowboys are, like you said, they are towing the line.
Yep.
I'm going to say they're a contender because I think their playoff chance might even be better by them winning the division. Like, whoa. I don't know that the Eagles are safe in that division. I really don't.
They currently, looking at the Eagles, are 8-4, Cowboys 6-5-1.
Yeah.
So 1.5 game lead. It's nothing secure by any means.
No, and the thing is that the Eagles right now are just simply not playing very good football. Right?
They're not.
The Eagles are very pedestrian offensively. Their next game is a Monday night game in Los Angeles against the Chargers. That is not an easy game to win, especially if the Chargers are rolling.
Question will be whether or not Herbert's playing.
Right. Yeah, that's going to be a part of it too. So again, we'll see. I think the Cowboys, the way that they are playing right now, I think the Cowboys over the last 3 weeks are playing like one of the better teams in the NFL.
Oh, last 3 weeks, they absolutely have been.
You could make the argument that in the last 3 weeks, they've been the best team in the NFL. But, listen, we had this conversation a number of weeks ago too, Josh, of is it just simply too little too late? Are they just catching heat, too late in the year where, they just simply can't catch up because the NFC is so stacked as far as teams in playoff position. You just, what do you do? You know what I mean?
Right.
They don't really control their own destiny. So, stuff needs to happen around them. I'm going to say they're contenders. I think they're too good right now to not be contenders, but I don't know. We'll see about them. Let's talk about the Carolina Panthers.
Oh, my boys.
And maybe we should do this one as a as sort of a dual sort of thing like we did in the AFC North. But the Carolina Panthers and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, contender or pretender, Josh?
Well, only one of them is making the playoffs.
Right.
And to me, it's going to be the Carolina Panthers. And you look at this, obviously the tremendous upset that they did this past Sunday against the Rams.
Yeah.
They also have victories against the Red Hot Cowboys. They also have a victory against the Packers. So, when the big teams come to town, they're showing up.
Yeah.
And Bryce Young has been figuring it out. Now, again, not, in like top tier levels per se.
Yeah.
But he has had 4 games this season of at least 3 touchdowns, where his previous couple years he had a combined 2.
Yeah.
Their running game is on point. Their defense has gone. Yeah, Rico Dowdle saved my fantasy season. I don't know if I mentioned that in the show.
Saved a lot of people, yeah.
I was 1-3, or I was 1-3 before I picked up Rico Dowdle, and I did just lose this week, but that now made me 8-5. But I'm like, in the playoff hunt still.
You're right there.
So
just like everybody else, you're in the playoff hunt.
Yeah. Thank you, Rico Dowdle. I appreciate. Yeah, I'm in the playoff hunt just like everyone in the NFL right now.
That's true. That's true. Yeah,
So,
I think Carolina looks really good for the playoffs. I really do. Because Tampa Bay's hurt. Baker Mayfield is not playing all that well over the last couple of weeks. I think Carolina, the door is wide open for the Panthers to win this division. They really are. I mean, look at what they've got for the rest of their schedule. They're on a bye this week. They have to play the Buccaneers twice. So those 2 games against the Bucs could very easily decide the division. But their first game off the bye is at New Orleans. You can assume that's probably a win. And then they play at home against Seattle, in between their 2 games against the Bucs. I don't know. I think this is a team that's pretty well positioned to potentially go in and sneak into the playoffs. So I don't know. We'll see. Tampa Bay, there's going to be pressure on the Buccaneers to take advantage of the games that they have left, right? They get the Panthers. They get the Panthers twice. They also play the Saints this coming week. And then they get the Falcons and they have the Dolphins. So, yeah. I mean, they're in a position where, like, if they can take advantage, like, they can still be in that hunt for a playoff spot as well. But yeah, it's going to come down to that week 18. That's going to be the flex game. That's going to be that last Sunday night game of the season, Panthers and Buccaneers for the NFC South. Yeah.
And not only that, I think that last game could also determine the offensive rookie of the year between Egbuka and McMillan, because they've been neck and neck as well.
Yeah, right.
So I think it's tremendous, this turnaround that has happened in Carolina. I think it's great for that fan base, because let's be honest, these last several years, they've with like ownership and things like that, they were almost at like Dallas Maverick level of hatred that they had towards their franchise.
Yep.
So they've been pulling it together. Bryce Young's been figuring it out. They're well coached. They're continuing to develop. And now with these wins, especially this win against the Rams, you did the one thing you don't want to do to a young team, and that's give them confidence.
Yep.
This team now knows that and feels we can be a legit contender, not just win the division. We can compete with anybody. We've beaten the Packers. We've beaten the Cowboys. We now just beat the league best Rams. Matt Stafford, who does not turn the ball over, we made him turn the ball over 3 times.
Yeah, right. That was impressive. The Panthers owned that game.
They did. I mean, the score obviously reflected, it was a nail biter to the end. It felt like the Panthers were controlling most of that game.
Yeah, which is not something we're used to seeing.
Yeah, And so I am on board with Carolina winning that division. And for all we know, you could certainly you could have Carolina Dallas. Well, no, Dallas would probably be facing a higher seed. So that would probably be like a Carolina Green Bay type first round matchup.
Yeah.
Which would be very interesting to watch.
That'd be fun. Yeah. That would be very, very fun. Last contender versus pretender here. We're lumping in the NFC West. The Rams, the Seahawks, 49ers. Contender versus pretender, Josh. Who do you believe in? Who don't you believe in?
All the above. They're all in.
They're all in. Wow.
All of them are in. And that's why, you know, that's why I'm so on the fence with the Cowboys, because to me, the one that might fall out would be the Niners.
Yeah.
Just because, again, they've had so many injuries. So if the Cowboys can somehow overtake them, but I mean, right now, they're 9-4 as the 7 seed, which is absurd.
It's unbelievable.
So they all have been showing, you know, that they are contenders, and again, and you look at their the Niners' next 2 games, Titans and the beat up Colts, but then they finish with Bears and Seahawks.
I think they're a 10-win team.
You only winning one of their last 4.
I think the way, if you're asking me today, what I think would happen, they're going to bye this week. They'll beat the Titans at home, and then they lose the next 3.
Wow.
I think they lose. They go to Indianapolis, which I do think matters. They go to Indianapolis, then you're home against the NFC leading Chicago Bears, which is beyond me.
Yep.
But home against the Bears and then home against Seattle, who Seattle is still going to be playing for something.
Yep.
That week.
I mean, Seattle might be playing for the NFC West.
Right. Right. I think the Niners are, I really think the Niners are vulnerable. I really do. Like, they've had a messy quarterback room all year long, right? It is by some miracle that Christian McCaffrey is still healthy.
How is the only guy that's been healthy for the Niners all season been Christian McCaffrey?
It's beyond, isn't that crazy? It is just so sick. So I don't know. I think the Niners are vulnerable. I really think they're vulnerable. That end of the schedule is not easy because you're, again, like, by that point, like, all of those teams are not, like, they're going to be playing for something at the end of the year, right? Especially Indianapolis. And you're getting the Colts in Indy. Like, that's not an easy game. So I think that the Niners to me are in a tough spot. Seattle, I think is, like, I just think they're a very good team. I think
they
really
team, are.
They're gonna beat Atlanta this week. They're home against the Colts. I kind of feel good about that. Again, like, I'm not ready to give up on the Colts yet. Rams at Carolina at Niners. I mean, their schedule isn't easy either, but I don't know. I just think Seattle's a better football team. I do. I think the Seahawks.
No, I agree that Seattle's a better football team than the 49ers. I think, again, like we mentioned a few minutes ago with the Cowboys, I think it was too little too late. I just think it's too much ground to catch up on. And the Niners, even if they were to lose, those last 2 games, I think they still fall into the playoffs as that 7 seed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, it wouldn't even be guaranteed to be the Cowboys to jump into that last playoff spot if that were to happen. I mean, Detroit is still very much in the picture.
It's still possible for Detroit. Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So I don't know. We'll see. And I feel pretty confidently about the Rams. Like, I think the Rams are very,
Rams
they're well put together.
Yeah.
The Rams are, I think the Rams, like, I feel pretty comfortable saying the Rams are a legit Super Bowl contender. They're a very legit Super Bowl contender in my mind. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll jump into hour 2.
Wait, you never asked about the Tennessee Titans.
Oh, you're right.
Wait.
You're right. Are they a contender? Are they a contender or pretender for the number 1 overall pick in the 2026 NFL draft?
They're the favorite. They're the contender.
They are. Yeah, they are. Which honestly, if you're the Titans, lose every game this year, and they might not, this might just happen. They don't even have to try. Lose every game the rest of the year and get a haul for the number 1 overall pick because you don't need a quarterback.
That's true.
Right? So just, throwing it out there. Unless they truly plan on giving up on Cam Ward after 1 year, which I wouldn't. But
no, he's been the only decent player on that team.
I know it is remarkable how bad their roster is.